We will continue today's availabilities, and we're now joined by Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing, and our pole sitter for tomorrow's Shriners Children's 500. This is Denny's 41st Cup Series pole and Toyota's 150th Cup Series pole. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have one, please raise your hand, and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start over here with Zach.
Zach Cernillo, NASCAR.com. Denny, congrats on this pole. Do you perceive this weekend as a potential preview for what we could expect come November?
You know, normally I would say yes, and there always will be correlations to who runs well in the spring versus who runs well in the fall. But everyone's dealing with a new tire and a new aerodynamic package that all of you have well documented. So I think that it will take time for some to adapt to it. And so while you might see some who, like, you know, the 11 car maybe have found something that really works with it, hopefully we can carry that into the fall so we're not so far behind. Others will eventually catch up to it. So I think that the answer is yes and no. But it'd be easy to overreact. But I would say that, you know, since we have those two big variables, things will change through this spring and summer months.
On focusing on tomorrow, is it more important to start toward the front of the field today? Obviously, you've got the most clean air where you are, where there are so many unknowns of how well you can pass.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, I saw some of the drivers' comments, and I understand everyone's frustration and whatnot, but I certainly believe that data doesn't lie in a lot of instances, so it is better. While it is a very, very small amount, it certainly is better. The tire, I think, is the biggest gain that we've had over the weekend, having a tire that is faster on the short run, falls off more on the long run. So, you know, hats off to Goodyear for bringing a better tire to the racetrack. And it needs to continue to evolve as they see how wear happens tomorrow. Keep evolving it, keep pushing the limits of the tire. So I think that, you know, overall the weekend's going to be good. Up front's good. The position where my pit crew was last week, one of the best on pit road. Now you give them the number one stall. It could shape up to be a good night for sure.
We'll come down here to Reed and then go to Bob.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. On your lap, you didn't cut the dog leg to the extent that almost everybody else did. Gave you a better angle into one. Was that a key in terms of winning the pole? Yeah,
I was kind of 50-50 on it because I didn't cut it in the first round, but we consistently saw that I was about a half a car length behind entering turn one, but my angle was better. So that was a very indecisive decision to, like, well, okay, I won't go all the way, but I won't stay where I was. So I looked like I kind of netted out in a good position where I was able to cut a little bit, but also keep my angle into turn one. So, yeah, it was, I mean, right as I'm leaving pit road to go on the lap, I'm thinking about, will I or will I not do it? A lot of it also depends on how well I got up to speed off of turn four. And since I got a good run off four, I decided to just barely cut it slightly.
Go to Bob.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. I mean, yesterday you were second in practice, but like on the 5, 10, 15 lap average, you're around 9th, 10th, 11th. So, I mean, do you feel like you have the car to beat, or do you think that you're maybe, you know, top 5 or top 10 car, but not necessarily the car to beat?
Well, I've had practices really over the last 2 years. We've been about 3/10 off in practice, and then we end up racing between 5th and 10th. So for yesterday to only be a 10th off, it tells me that we shouldn't be a 5th to 10th place car tomorrow. We should be better than that. There was definitely cars better than us, but, you know, give my team some time to think about it overnight. We have some dialogue, think about things and how we're going to adjust. We certainly have the capability of getting there to being the best.
Are there any other questions? We'll go down here to Cole and then to Lee.
Cole Kusaman with the Arizona Republic. Denny, over the last 4 races in the next-gen car at Phoenix, the winner hasn't started deeper than 8th place. Just how important is it to get the pole at a track like Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this track is one of the biggest advantages to the number one pit stall. They have the kind of the pit out camera so close to the number one pit stall that it's just an overwhelming advantage for those guys. And then usually you'll see, more than likely we'll have somebody pretty competitive choose right behind us because by rolling it really looked like those guys were all really fast. So I think that a lot of it has to do with your pit selection, and even though this pit road has plenty of room to move the camera back, it's always just been right there at the number one stall. So we've seen championships won that way. So it's great for our team to not be at a disadvantage when it comes down to if we're racing someone for a win. If it comes down to pit road, we're certainly not at a disadvantage. We're at an advantage for once.
Go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and catchfence.com. Bubba was in here earlier and he said that he really thinks added horsepower would help. And of course, that's what the drivers are going to say. With your owner's hat on, what would it look like to add more horsepower to the short track? You're shaking your head.
No, you just call up Doug Yates and TRD and say we're going to go back to our old 750 plate. It can be done before next weekend, and they said it won't change any of the durability that they've got, so it can be done with one phone call.
Would you
and no additional money?
So you'd advocate for speed?
Absolutely, yeah. I think any horsepower you can add will make the racing better. It's hard to pass because we're all in the gas so much, and so you have to get us out of the gas either through the tire or the horsepower. That combination is what makes passing so difficult. So the more you can get us out of the gas, which means if we have more horsepower, we have to let off sooner, that gives the opportunity to overtake for the car that's behind. So 50 horsepower, while it may not be a game changer, any horsepower gain from here on out will be an advantage to passing.
Thank you.
Go right behind you, and then back to Reed.
Crew Burns, BlazerRadioOnline.com. Obviously, with obviously starting first tomorrow, how much are you going to have to sort of defend, and how much do you really want to defend the dog leg? Obviously, that's going to be a big key tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that it will be a factor because you don't want someone to get position on you, and if they want to be aggressive going down there, they can. With this simple diffuser that's on the back of the car, it won't tear up as much stuff going down there, so you probably will have to do more defending, where with the old underbody, you had to kind of be careful not to wear the bottom of your car out by going down there quite a bit. So I think you'll see more and more guys going down there.
We'll go to Reed and then to Dustin.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire. Back in 2005, this was a very different racetrack, but you won your first career pole here as a part-time driver as part of your 7 races. What do you remember about that day, and was that one of the things that gave you the confidence that you could do this? Yeah,
it certainly was, and I was in way over my head in 2005 when they put me in the FedEx car, and I just was trying to do the best I could, but luckily, this racetrack kind of fit my style. It really did. The easy on entry, really hard on exit type of style of driving. The old Phoenix really rewarded that quite a bit, and so I think it gave me the opportunity to then get a start in the shootout in 2006 that I won. So it really was a crucial moment, all put together, and certainly the first pole for the 11 car for JGR. So it was certainly crucial for me. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, we didn't have all the information that we have nowadays where you can kind of see, is what you're doing good or bad. You just look at the stopwatch and you just wonder if you're a tenth faster or a tenth slower. Where's the time at? You have to just go figure it out yourself. So I was just soaking it all in, trying to figure it out. But back then, it was when Tony Stewart was just, killing guys on the short tracks, and I was a beneficiary of, some of the setups that he had.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. If it's as easy to increase the horsepower, even 50 horsepower, like you say, and I know here last fall, Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell talked, and O'Donnell said, in regards to horsepower, I think everything is up for consideration, but expressed some challenges potentially with the cost. Drivers have expressed it for a very long time: more horsepower, more horsepower. You're saying it's easy. Why isn't it done?
I'm only saying it's easy because that's what the engine builders told us.
Okay.
And they've gone on record to say it's easy.
So why isn't it done yet?
You will have to call Jim France on that. I do not know.
Okay. And my other question is, you guys have certainly spoken out in the media about being all for it. Is there anything else you feel like you can do in terms of any more of a united front to say, here's this and here's why, or let us show X, Y, and Z?
We don't need to prove it. I've been in the sport for 20 years now. I've been part of all these tests that have squeezed it down. And every time we squeezed it down, we would go in the building in the middle of the test and say, that's harder to pass. Every time we've done that. So I don't understand. There's obviously other reasons, right? They're trying to get other manufacturers in here. They're trying to do this or in that. It's part of a bigger picture that I won't understand. You won't understand. No one really will understand. But we don't need to sacrifice our actual product for trying to entice someone new, right? I think that if you put on great racing, people will want to come no matter what. So I think that we're going to continue to beat this horse until it finally gets some movement, but I don't know that it will happen just for reasons that we just will never understand, or it will never get explained.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Denny, thank you for your time today, and good luck tomorrow.
It was just really confusing. Then we realized we had a trash bag on half the nose, and then she got covered the whole nose. So just very confusing circumstances and something to work through. But always through adversity, encounter something. I feel like we learned how to handle a situation like that. And fortunately, we're able to come back.